I got the impression that you're happy with some things and not so happy with other things. And one of the things your team needs to be is more incisive in their play. How do you go about doing that? Is there something you can work on to change that?
There's things that you just got to practice a lot in training. And unfortunately, at this level of football, you're not getting ready-made players because, you're getting people who are trying to find a way, so they're young and they're coming from academies, or they've maybe trying to get the introduction to men's football. So one of the things, a lot of it has to be repetition, and a lot of it you actually show them. Can't really speak to them. You have to actually show them on a training ground and give them a spatial awareness and an idea of situations that can arise and things to do in them situations. And you've got to be mindful of the fact that you just don't be didactic with them and just say you do this, you do that, you do this, you do that, because you eliminate the ability of decision making, which is very, very key in football. The best players in the world make the best decisions far quicker than anybody else. Probably true of every sportsman, really. The best batsman just goes forward or back a little bit quicker. Best tennis player reads the serve a little bit quicker. So it is all about decision making, and if that was a case point to be made Tuesday, probably that was it. We didn't make enough decisions quickly in the first half to press home our advantage that we had by them letting us have the ball. We scored a goal that I thought was a bit of a fluke. And then you're going into the second half with them having to raise the game. And then they raise the game and we don't make the decisions that we should make, which is pass the ball, move the ball a little bit quicker, pick the right pass, get into the right areas to pick up a second ball if it's going to be that type of game, which it did turn out to be in the last 20 minutes. And all that, you just need to practice it, and you need to show them and show them areas, show them on video and then take it onto the training ground. And we're still searching to get it right. And on another day, that possibly last season that game could have gone away from us. We could have lost the game. And you've been scratching your head thinking, well, they've had one shot on our goal. I mean, I know they had a lot of corners, but a lot of corners where with the residue of them getting the ball into our half and fighting around the edge of our box with throw-ins and getting corners that way. And the big thing about what we've been good at over the years, particularly here, is seeing out games when we're winning 1-0. And probably the players to see that out didn't finish the game, which is Sean and Seamus. And so, it's an ongoing process. And it's going to be the season. The older players we've got to manage. And we've got quite a lot of young players who we've also got to manage in different ways. So we've got to manage the fitness. So, for example, I know Seamus is a warrior. I know Seamus and Sean the same. We could have probably got the 90 minutes out of them, but then you're going to probably lose them for Saturday. And so it's just a balancing act of getting what's right and what's needed. Young Pickles has come on, and I think he's done okay. He's come on. He's won some headers. The goal's gone through his legs. He's unfortunate. On another day, he'll get a little bit tighter to the striker. But you can see the honesty in him, and he's trying to cut out the ball to the near post. So from that respect, we're all trying to learn, and I'm learning about the players as well. I'm learning, that this league will pose different problems, different style of football. That's got to be coped with. But if you look at, we made a host of subs when we were winning 1-0 against Newport, and it had a positive effect. I don't think the subs had a positive effect this time around, and that's the luck of the draw when you're a manager and you make subs. You're hoping that it has an impact. On another day, their goal doesn't arise, we've got Coley on a one-on-one, 20 yards inside their half. On another day, he gets hold of the ball and runs them down the side, and we all get out, and that position doesn't arise to score. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. And again, these are young lads who are trying to find a way, and as I alluded earlier on in the week, people probably learn more from pain than they do from pleasure. But the fact is, we still got a point. It still keeps us in the top half of the table, and you know we've got to be positive in our outlook and try and get the best out of what players that we've got here.
As far as approaching a game and those decisions within a game are concerned, are you more frustrated, more upset, more unhappy by safe choices, conservative choices, than taking a risk, going for it, gambling and getting it wrong?
Well, there's a time and a place to do it, there's an area to do it, and that's something that we've tried to make it clear to players from day one, that there's areas to take chances and there's areas not to take chances. Now you could say Coley win a one-on-one, 25 yards inside their half, that's the ideal place to take a chance. But when there's no need to take the chance, there's no need to try a back heel through your legs and through the opposition's legs when you don't have to, because you're probably going to get the same outcome by controlling it and rolling them yourself. So it's just making cleverer choices and making them early. So I was disappointed with the fact that we didn't pass the ball in the second half. And listen, human nature's a thing that, you know, when people get anxious, people get frustrated. I've been through this numerous times about the perception of loss is far greater than the perception of gain. You know, people place a lot more emphasis on losing something they've got than gaining something that they haven't got. And when you win them 1-0, you tend to tense up a little bit. Getting them to play with a freedom, you know, that'll come from more games in the league, and trying to boost the confidence. But you could see some of the edgy passes we played and turning them, going long, and you know, some of the uneducated fans will label us as a hoofball team because we've got a big striker, so therefore we're hitting everything up to the striker. It's not the case. We're trying to pass the ball. We just sometimes we get it wrong, and sometimes the players make the decisions to kick it long when they should pass it, and pass it when they should kick it. So, and that's why they're playing in League Two and they're not playing in the Premier League.
How hard is it when you've got the experience and the ability to read the game, to know what decisions to make, but obviously you're not out there making them?
Well, you just got to try and pass your knowledge on to them. And you know, people think that because our team plays a certain way, that's the way they've been told to play. The game's fluid, the game changes, and it's constantly changing. So if you look at the amount of times we kept the ball in the first half around the back four compared to the second half, it was night and day. But you've got to think that they dropped off and allowed us to do that. Second half, they had nothing to lose, so they may as well get beat 2-0, 3-0, then get beat 1-0, as Newport found out. And so they're going to change, and then it's up to us to adapt to that change, and I don't think we did adapt. You're trying to by formation changes, by personnel changes, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But you know, it'd be very churlish to label it's the coaching staff decision for a full-back to hit the ball up to a striker when there's two men on for a pass. You know, we're going to speak to them about that ourselves, but we can't get into his head when he's got to make that decision at the right time. So you know, a lot of football fans will think that whatever decision a player makes on the pitch, it's down to the manager because he's told him to do that. And you couldn't be further from the truth. But sometimes they do get the style of play that we want to play. And then sometimes you can get caught in between two stools, where you want to play a certain style of way. A team is sort of half trying to stop you doing it, and then you get a little bit anxious and you think, I'll take the safe option, which is to clear your lines and try and get out. And then the problem comes when you don't get out as much and the ball doesn't stick up the other end, you don't pick the second balls up. So there's loads of ways to play a football match, as I alluded to last week. And getting a balance right between passing it when you should pass it, clearing your lines when you should clear your lines, squeezing the play, picking up second balls, it's all an ongoing process, and that we've got to get better at.
You've spoken about the makeup of the squad and the fact you've got the sort of big gap in the middle and those older guys who are trying to pass on to the younger players. What would you say to a supporter or somebody looking on saying, well, sign some players between 23 and 30 then?
Well, it's not as easy as that, you're restricted by, by budget, by the fact that we don't get enough people through. We have unbelievable fans, but we don't get enough people through the gate that we can sign whoever we want. And people just say, oh, go and sign a left footer. I wish people had looked at my search for a left footer for the last 3 or 4 years. And how it's like the definition of madness. And you finally get one, and he lasts 89 minutes. If you look at our squad, probably the one person who we can't replace the position is the one who got injured, which going on from last year. You can go, oh, woe is me, that's our luck, oh, we're having bad luck. Just get on with it. And we've got to get on with it. Between now and the end of the window, I'm sure I'm going to have to find a left-footed defender. There's plenty about, but it's getting the right one, and we've got to get the right one for that to stand me.
Why do you think it is, and I think it's people in my profession as much as supporters, maybe even more so than supporters, just think you can go into the transfer market, go to the shelf-marked left-footed defenders and sign someone?
I think because football has become so mainstream and it's become so prevalent, they're all champ managers and, not at all. That's a very, very broad range of people I'm talking about there. But there's an influx of people who play Championship Manager. And it's all on TV. He's available, he's gone dead, this, that and the other. And so quickly people think that if you're not super successful, then the only remedy to that is change. And sometimes you'd have to be careful what you wish for. And it's no point removing players to bring people in who aren't better than what you've got. And you're always trying to get the right formula. And in the past we've done it standard on our head. It's become more and more difficult with the advent of more and more recruitment teams in the lower leagues, particularly. And so, when people can throw money at things, they generally got a better chance of success. That hasn't been the case with Accrington. That's not been our model. We've managed to sell players and keep going, and that's got to be our model. And the only way that model changes is if we get an influx of 15,000 fans. And when you, I think there's us and Forest Green, is it? Who are the lowest supported teams in numbers. It's difficult. Now, obviously, they've got a fella who wants to throw a bit more money on it. But it's not sustainable. And, thankfully, we've got an owner that realises the way it should go, realises that to sustain a football club, it's like you can feed a man for a couple of days if you give him a couple of fish, or teach him how to fish, and you feed them for life. And that's the thing. We've got to get this club so whatever level it's in, it operates and it's sustainable, and it doesn't do the likes of what the likes of Bury have done in the past, and Macclesfield and gone through that road of you lose your football club for the town. So I think the model is correct, and we've been very good at executing that model over the last 10 years. You're going to have bumps in the road, and it's going to prove difficult. But if you keep true to your beliefs, I think you'll get what you want.
Harrogate Town this weekend. Are there some parallels there? Club size, stature, pull, maybe?
Yeah, they've probably spent a little bit more than what I anticipated they would be able to spend. I don't know why that's become about. When again, it's going to be one of them games where you can see them one day and they're very, very good. You can see them on another day and they're maybe not so good. And that inconsistency that plagues the likes of the lower league teams. And they have got good players, and it's laughable really, because you'll have people listening to this who've obviously made their mind up that they want somebody else in charge of Accrington Stanley, and whatever you say, listen to that nonsense that he's spouting out now. So you can't really win. all you can do is just say what you believe. And, you know, what I believe is that every game we play here in League Two is going to be tough. We've never been under any illusions to that. We were never under any illusions when we were playing in the Unibond First Division here. And the games were tough here. And then climbing through the leagues, we've always had to stick our chest out and fight for every scrap of every advancement that we've made. Why should that change all of a sudden? Not people aren't going to drop things on your lap. We're going to have to fight and work as hard as we can for everything we get here, for as long as this club's in operation, because of the way that we have to run. And it's in very, very safe hands with Andy Holt, the way he's improved the infrastructure of the club. I think we've got a cracking coaching staff, people who are very, very good at the jobs. And we've got a good set of honest players. And we've just got to try and mould them into a winning team.
How aware are you of those mumblings?
Oh, yeah. Listen, it was going on 15, 20 years ago. And I remember being in that same dugout, coming out of that dugout, and a sign up, "Please go now, John, and take all your Scouse mates with you." I think we won the league by 9 points that year. And I've come to a game where there's been 10-foot letters Coleman out painted on the pitch. So, you know, you're always going to get that. And you're always going to get it in football. You know, people are never going to be happy with a lot. They're always going to be wanting better, more stylish. And obviously there's an influx now of young managers coming into the game and young coaches, head coaches. And people might say, well, we want a bit of that. But, you know, we've been doing this job long enough to know that it is a tough business, very, very enjoyable business. We feel blessed, but myself, Jimmy and John Dooley and that, we're involved in professional football because it's something that we've dedicated our lives to. And our families have had to put up with that. And it's good when you have the good times, so you can't moan too much when you have to go through a little bit of adversity.